Hi there, Coach Diego here. We're going to go through a series of exercises today, focusing on strength training. But the idea is just to give you some pointers on how you can create your own equipment when you're stuck at home. Okay, it's very important just to be able to focus on strength, as we've been working the whole week on some of the protocols we use and the benefits of incorporating a very efficient strength program circuit within your routines. But it's hard sometimes when you don't have the equipment. Now at the gym we have the kettlebells, we have the straps, and we have everything we need, and we have the coaches around us just like giving us all the pointers. But at home it gets a little bit more complex. So today what I'm going to do is just going to show you how you can create your own gym equipment using whatever you have around at home. So fairly simple stuff. So just going to show you quickly before we get started. So here I have a shopping bag. Yep, I put some rubble and bricks and tiles and cans of tuna, soup, lentils, whatever you have at home. You just fill it in there. And you just make it, challenging enough so you can use it for different things. Now, I also have a box. Yeah, I happen to have one. But you can also use a chair of some sort. It's just to get an elevated surface where you can work from. And lastly, I have two old chairs here that I align, and we're just going to go through that in a minute. Now, once you have your equipment sorted, you're going to do your warm-up. As we have many variations in the program, you can go just to the app and just check whatever warm-up routines we put in there. And once you're ready, we're just going to go straight into the 6 exercises I have for you today to focus on strength. Yep, using your body, but also taking the next level just from a body weight perspective. The first exercise, it's going to be a weighted squat. So the shopping bag squat. Now in this particular occasion, I have a very full material bag full of rubble. It's about 20 kgs. So you're just going to hold it either in this position by your hips, or if you want, you can hold it by the handles. Now getting into a position where you get the weight closer to your spine, just by leaning into your tummy. We're going to get into a 1.5 hip width apart positioning with your feet, with a slightly external rotation on the stance. And from here, what we're doing is we're going to focus on a very slow 3 to 5 seconds eccentric load coming down, yep, and 1 second coming up. Right, so with control, I'm relaxing my shoulders, breathing and getting into 1, 2, 3, hold it for a split second, and then bringing it up. Now with control, we're gonna go for those 12 repetitions. So the camera can stay still as I'm moving up and down. This is 5. With control, you're going to be counting your own repetitions in this one. The key is ensuring you are fully focused on what you're doing, okay? Making sure you focus on the connection between your breath and the activation of your glutes, putting pressure from your heels, relaxing the shoulders, allowing the weight to be sufficient. So now sometimes the weight might be not enough, so you can focus on even closing your eyes, or going even a little bit slower on the lowering phase. Okay, once you're there, squeeze, putting pressure from the heels, lift it up. We have 2 to go. Down with control, squeeze, bringing it up. For the last one, I'm going to show you from the side. Again, the back should be nice and straight, upright position, pelvic tilted when I'm down, squeezing by activating the glutes, putting pressure from the heels, and lifting it up with control. Beautiful. So I'm going to slowly give yourself a couple of seconds just to relax. Now, second exercise I have for you today, when I work on the posterior chain. This is one of the harder ones to do with no equipment. So with the box, or with the bag rather, full of stuff, we're going to focus on that single arm row movement. I'm going to show you from the side. So you can either use the box or the chair, or from a stationary position. I particularly like this variation because I'm focusing on the activation on the glutes, locking the lower body nice and simply. So you can grab it, keeping both shoulders aligned at the same distance from the floor, and squeezing the elbows as close as I can to the rib cage, bringing it up, hold it for a couple of seconds, and then slowly extend without dropping. Okay, so with control, again, do a double knot in here, breathe and squeeze. 1, 2, and relax. We're gonna go for 12 repetitions. Six, 'So slowly, the slower the better. Give yourself a couple of seconds in between, breathe a couple of times, just try to decrease your heart rate as much as possible. Remember, the idea of a strength training session is not to get your cardiovascular system all worked out, but mainly to focus on micro tears on the muscle fibers. So the slower you go, the more control, the better. Okay, now we're gonna do the other side. Again, same idea. Try to make sure you get a nice grip on the bag. Align both shoulders and squeeze it in between the shoulder blades. And make sure the lower body remains nice and tight as well by putting your heels nice and tight against the floor and squeezing the glutes at the same time. So your core should be working all throughout. We're halfway. Shoulders remain at the same height from the floor. Relaxing the neck. Get into the last two. And then last one, lifting it up. And slowly, with control, you bring it back down. Perfect. Now, we're gonna go back into the next exercise. So again, always in between exercises, we're focusing on decreasing the heart rate. Nice and controlled. Now, the idea on this strength training session is just to go lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body. So the next one will be on the box, and we're gonna be focusing on one leg at a time. So again, the key on this one will be as you align the elevated surface, whether it's a chair or a box or whatever you have available at home, we're gonna focus on putting one foot in there. So as you might see from here, from the angle, my shin remains as vertical as possible, okay? And with control and keeping the alignment. So 90 degrees from my hips and on the knees. Now the key will be minimizing any jump with the back leg. So I'm gonna try to hold a nice tight upright position, activating from the glutes. I'm gonna lean forward, and as I lean forward, I'm bringing one knee up. Now you can focus on putting the foot down or lifting straight away the knee all the way back down. And with control, we're gonna go for 12 on each leg. Now, you can choose to do the body weight version in this one, or you can incorporate some extra weight holding on your hands. Okay, so we're focusing on control and alignment. Slower the better. If you're not so keen into holding anything on your arms, you can focus on closing your eyes or even going a little bit slower, particularly on the coming down phase. Super slow and controlled. We have 2 to go. I'm trying to minimize kicking with the back leg, keeping the core engaged, the balance and the alignment. And into the last one now. And super slow, you bring it back, okay? Beautiful, that's the first leg. For the second one, feel free to play with the weight. If this, whatever you have in the bag is too much, you can choose to grab either a couple of books or little couple of cans, full of tuna, soup, whatever, and you do in the other side. So from the other side, again, the idea is the same. I'm going to show you from the front. So the alignment that you look in is getting, if you put your L-shaped left arm or whatever on the hip, between your hip and your legs, you're going to see a 90-degree angle over there. You're going to try to keep that knee, the support knee, to avoid to get it buckled, okay, inward. So I'm going to try to keep the alignment so hip, knee, and foot are as aligned as possible. Leaning back, so again, from here, you're leaning back, forward, and with control, you're bringing it back. Now you might find that one leg is easier than the other. Normally, the one that needs a little more of work is the one that you feel that it's not very engaged. And if you feel the knee comes in, it's an indication that you're losing somewhat the contraction of your glute coming up. Nice and control as much as you can. Remember, the key is maintaining that knee slightly out. If you feel like buckles, you're not contracting the glutes accordingly. So remember, that's the key. That's what we're going to focus. It's almost like a rehab exercise within a strength format. Yeah. Oop. Lost my balance in there. Control. Getting into the last two. And last one, lift, control, and as slow as I can, bring it up. Now, the first round, normally, it's a good idea just to do the completely body weight, particularly when you're coming up and changing angles and heights. On the second round and the third, feel free to grab the heavier sort of bag full of stuff that you might find. Now, next exercise, we're going to go again to upper body. We're going to go for the decline or incline press up. Now, if you need to, you can go from this position, either from your knees, roll the shoulders back. You're going to focus on slow control press. You can go the same from this position. Just make sure you find the right suitable angle. Roll the shoulders back, pelvic tilted in, slight bend on the knees, and focus on flexion and extension. Now, for me, I quite like the incline version of this, which will work more on the upper chest. And obviously, it's always good to mix it up. So even if one variation feels too easy, maybe go for the harder version, but always revisit all the different angles. It's important just to work in the multi-angle sort of variations, okay? So I'm gonna show you the version from here, pelvic tilted, slight bend, breathe, and push it away, nice and controlled without locking the elbows. We're halfway. And last one, hold it for a couple of seconds, feel a bit of a shake, and then push it away. Great stuff. And breathe a couple of times. Again, if you feel that your heart rate goes up, I'm going to try to decrease it. The idea is just to maintain the tension as much as possible, and progressively you work on going for a slower or a fuller range of movement repetition. Now, next exercise, you're going to get a bit of core. So if you sit, you can do this on the floor, but I quite like just to challenge myself balance-wise. So if you sit on the elevated surface, whether it's a box, a table, a chair, whatever you can find, you can bring your knees, you can focus on. Now, this movement has two components. The first one is a rotation, and then a little flexion. So I'm going to go for little gentle movement. Try to bring the knee to the elbow, control, keep the balance. Remember, it's not just necessarily a crunch, it's a slight rotation, and then going towards the direction of the opposite knee. We're halfway. Last two. And then relax. You might feel some tightening in the lower back. Okay, if you need to, you can put your hands on the back and then just do one leg at a time. But I quite like this exercise because it creates two movements. The first one is a light rotation and flexion. Okay, so you work on not only one muscle group on your tummy, but the ones that create the flexion, the TBAs, and the obliques as well. All right? And now I have one more for you today. Again, this is a slightly more complex version. You can get the two chairs that I just showed you before, or even as a variation on the dip. Okay, so the easier version from here will be from the back of the chair, the seat of the chair rather, or the box. You can put your hands in there, control, roll the shoulders back. You're going to try to get into a dip, tricep extension, tricep dip, then bring it with control, nice back. So you can make it harder by lifting one leg or extending both legs a little bit further back. Now, if you feel you want to try something a little bit potentially more challenging, you can get into the chairs. Now, before on the press-ups, we did a control exercise where we've been using the upper fibers of your chest. In here, we're going to be using a little bit on the lower ones, but mainly the tricep as well, and obviously balance and core. So you can add a multi-dimensional version to this. So if you roll the shoulders back, hands on the edge, you can dangle your knees back down with control and bringing it up back. We're halfway. Last two. And relax. Beautiful team, we just completed the first round. Now the invitation is to do at least two, perhaps even three, and remember, it's always a different progression. You can get your bag with a little bit more things in there to make it a little bit more challenging, a bit heavier, and finding something that is a little bit higher for your support, whether it's a box, a chair, and just keep your mind wandering, or how you can make this a little more fun. Right, see you on the other side.